Chinese sword breakers. Well, not really. I don't think you can break a sword with any of these, but they're commonly called that. Obviously, we've got a great variety here of blunt force trauma weapons, you might say, striking kinds of weapons of all sorts. Right away, you can see we've got longer ones and shorter ones. This is going to have to be a two-parter, I think. There's just so many pieces here. If we just kind of go nomenclature really quickly, for the long weapons here, we have the jian. Don't confuse that with jian for sword. Different characters, different tones. This is a jian, and this is a bian. These are both, there's a pair of bian and a single bian. Good term for those in English would be bar maces. Obviously, they're just almost just like a chunk of rebar or a nightstick. The other ones are, we have the shorter weapons here. These are cha, which means a fork. So we've got two varieties of those. Not sure what we would call this. This is probably the most interesting one. We're going to have to really take a good look at this one. These are chui, hammers, and tietcher, and iron rulers. That's kind of the big set. First off thing you probably notice right away is that they're mostly made of metal, but this example is a wood one. These were carried by the bachi, the bannermen, constables, those sort of guys who were on street patrol. I mean, this is basically just a really long nightstick, and it's a good solid wood, probably elm. It's been lacquered. It's 35.5 inches long, so it's quite long. I mean, you can reach out and touch somebody with this. That's 90 centimeters, weighs almost 2 pounds, 1 pound, 15 ounces, so just shy of 2 pounds, 888 grams. Here is sort of hollow ground as well, which is going to make that edge just bite and strike that much harder, really get in there because that much more stress. But again, these were commonly carried. As a photo of some men on patrol, of bannermen on patrol, having basically these nightsticks, these jian of this sort of length. And you can see, like, if you're got to make the peasants move along or break up a street brawl or capture a criminal, this is pretty good. No one's going to give you much trouble with these. This one, this dragon's head bian, I did a longer video on. I'll put the link down below, of course. And one of the things I talked about in that video that you think you can see here as well is that there are kind of two varieties. Like you can see with these two cha, there's fairly fancy ones, obviously for somebody of greater rank, more importance in society, and much simpler ones. This is a very fancy one. Talking about this earlier, I thought maybe it was for a military officer, somebody could kind of, with commanding presence, not only have a serious weapon. This is quite a heavy weapon. This one is 28.5 inches long, 72 centimeters, and it's a beast, 4 pounds. That's a 1,266 grams, I think that is. So, I mean, it's hard to wield this. This is much harder to swing around than a standard jian or a duan dao, for example, of similar kind of length. It's really designed to strike and break bones. Other thing I want to think about when we're using these things, or if you train on these weapons are meant for real continuous flow. You're not doing like a strike, like a pea cut, like you would with a jian or a dao. You're just not going to control it. You just swing through, you smash through, oops, hit your table, come around, bang again. So this one, though, with the little googly eyes, that's really cool with the little googly eyes there, obviously for somebody of higher rank. And also, I mean, look at what it took to make this. This is a lot of extra work done on, I imagine, on a lathe, and how these are just the segments slowly, they're not uniform. They slowly get a little bit longer and change. That's a lot of extra craftsmanship. That's a real artisan at work for no added benefit. So this is obviously, when you see things like that, see things like this cha, we know it's for somebody of higher rank. Somebody had the money to pay for the extra bling. But that's one of my favorites. I love that with the iron shaft and the brass fittings. A real solid, real beast of a striker. Been collecting and looking at these for many, many years now, decades. And most of the time, you find these are singles, which is very interesting because when you look at all the historical images, or nearly all of them, I should say, there usually are doubles. right? Like these. And this is a pair. This is a good example. I mean, this is still quite nice. I mean, if you look at this bian, again, it's a segmented shaft instead of the straight or square section shaft. That's a bian. You know, this one is a simple cast iron one. So it looks nice. It has I love this dragon's head. That's really nice. It has the same sort of pumpkin sort of pommel there, fluted kind of pommel. These are really, really heavy. They're 31 inches long, 79 centimeters, 4 pounds, 6 ounces. I mean, these things are, you know, when I first got these, I was like, oh man, you know, with 2 of these in your hands, these are really hard to control and not to like, whoa, be pulled off balance. I mean, 4 pounds, 1,818 grams. I mean, these are solid. I honestly wonder if these weren't really more for training. They're just so heavy. And even a little bit of training with these is going to really strengthen you up. Sifu Cuddle made a very nice little video of training with these, and it's just like, wow, it's not easy to control. But again, what you're thinking about, whether you have 1 or 2 of these, is you striking through and hitting again. I mean, if you have 1 of these, one hand, you hit the Duifang's weapon offline, you maybe bend it. If it's just, maybe you can shatter a wood shaft. We've got to do some testing on these things. See, can you break a sword? Can you bend it? What would you do with a wood shaft? But setting that aside for the moment, you strike a weapon out of the way, and immediately another one comes around, and you can swing and strike again. So serious blunt force trauma. Though these are, but again, as I was saying, what's really curious is that although I've seen, 50 to 100 of these, gotta forget, I've been looking at them so long, at least 50, but probably closer to 100 of various striking weapons that I've seen over the years, doubles are very rare. And I would say that's probably because when you have that, I mean, the total 8 pounds, 8 pounds doesn't sound like a lot until you're swinging it. It's hard to control that. So it's interesting that in all the historical images that I've seen, almost all, I should say, you see them in pairs, whether it's the jian or the bian or even the cha. But when you find examples, they're usually one-offs. So that's interesting. Not sure why that is. I would postulate that it's because training with the doubles is really good, really helpful for your arm strength, for your focus, all that sort of stuff, all the things that are important to martial artists. But it's just not that functional in combat on a, you know, when you're really, because you can't lose control, right? If you have 2 weapons and that pulls you off balance a little bit, that's an opportunity for your enemy, for your Duifang. So probably train with doubles, fight with singles. So we have the long bian, these double bian, again, 4 pounds each, real beasts. I mean, terrible. I mean, absolutely would not want to be struck by any of these, but especially these 4 pound things. And look at that. Look at the cross section here. This is again, it's sort of like this tin. It's kind of hollow ground. So this isn't just a flat square. There's a bit of an edge, so to speak. That's going to cause a lot more trauma when it strikes. So those were really something when I came across these. I was really surprised of the weight and how difficult they are really to control. So those are our long striking weapons, our bian and our jian. Stay tuned, make sure you subscribe, because part 2, we're going to look at the shorter weapons. As always, appreciate that thumbs up and hitting that bell. And if you really love this content, hit that join button for us, help us make more videos. Until next time, everybody, stay strong. 再见.